out the Torah. Perfect. Okay. Sounds good.
What's up, Doc? Good? All right. Did you good? Yeah. She's living in the city with her boyfriend. Oh, yeah. She's comfortable. Yeah, he's a nice guy. How we doing? She's 25. Right? My son's turning 30 on Monday. He's since back in school, studying to be a radiology technologist. Yeah. All right, we'll start soon. That's it? You can't whack them? You don't have any other friends? It sure is. Takes some getting used to.
Hi, good. How are you? Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, Mazel Tov. Almost time. Yes. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. We're going to begin our service with Matovu. We are in the blue Siddur, the blue prayer book on page 61. And we call Lauren and Ross Vishnick up to open the ark for Matovu. page 61. So when you go up, you're going to go up this way, and you're going to pull the cord on the right side when you're facing the ark. Please rise. So pull the cord on the right side. On the other side. On the right. The other cord. And pull it.
מה טובו, מה טובו, מה טובו עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל, ואני ברוב חסדך אבוא ואתך, אשתחווה אליך על קודשך ביראתך.
So now pull that cord, yes. Very nice. You may be seated. At this time, as we move into our service, we are going to invite Ethan and his parents, and his brother, if Justin wants to join, up to the bima here to put on his talit. The talit, of course, is a garment that has been worn for ritual purposes by Jewish men for thousands of years, and these days many Jewish women wear it as well. And it's a powerful symbol of the tradition that Ethan is entering as an adult for the first time today. So Jessica and Matthew, you can place the talit onto Ethan's shoulders. And then Ethan, you can recite the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kavshanu mitzvotav b'tzivanu lachatif b'tzitzit.
Amen. And now we will invite Ethan and his family to recite the Shehechianu, the special blessing that we say over a new and milestone occasion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Amen. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us in life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this joyful occasion. And let us all say, Amen. All right, Ethan, you're now suited up, so you're ready to roll. So you stay up with us on the bima. The rest of the family can be seated. And we will continue with Ashrei, page 226.
Ashrei Yoshrei Vetecha, Od Yahalelucha Selah. Tehillah le David, Arumimcha Elochai Chamelech, Va'avarcha Shimcha leolam va'ed. Gadol Adonai umchulal me'od, V'li dulatot ein cheker.
Dor lador yishabach ma'asecha, u'kurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kavod hodecha, V'divrei nifleotecha asicha.
Ve'ezuz narotecha yomeru, dulatcha asaprena.
Zeker rav tovcha yabiu, V'tzid katecha yiranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech ha'payim u'ktol chased.
Tov Adonai lakol, V'rachamav al kol masav.
Yodu Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yevarchucha.
Kavod malchutecha yomeru, Ugevuratecha yedaberu.
Lehodia livnei hadam gevurotav, u'chvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, Omam shatecha bechol dor vador.
Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakfufim.
Enein kol Elochai yesaberu, V'ata noten lahem et ochlam beito.
פותח את ידיך ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קורב, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיט.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד. ואנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם.
Hallelujah. We continue silently. We're at the bottom of page 227.
ויבטחו בך את שמך גלעז עד ראשך, אדוני, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה ויאדיר, יגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותה וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב, אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, ליעלם עולמי עולמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח וירפר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילא מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירני בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני ענני בימת אישך.
We call on Jody and Mark Yaffe with Jordan and Ryan to open the ark. We rise in preparation for the ark to be opened. We're at the bottom of page 229.
ויהי בנס אהרון ויאמר משה קום אדוני ויפוצו אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה תורה ברוך שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו לך, אדוני הגדולה, הגבורה, התפארת והנצח וההוד, כי כל בשם, take off the הארץ ככל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל לראש רוממו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו והשתחוו לאדום רגליו וקדושו רוממו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו, והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
You may be seated. In just a moment, we are going to hear Ethan deliver his Devar Torah, his bar mitzvah speech, and chant from the Torah. If you'd like to follow along with the Torah reading, it is in our red Eitz Chaim Chumash, which you should have in front of you. We are going to be chanting Parshat Lech Lecha, which begins on page 69. And often I like to give an introduction to the Torah portion and explain what the Torah portion is about and what its significance is, but we have somebody even better to do that today. Ethan is going to be our teacher for today, and he's going to explain what is significant to him about this parsha.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for attending my bar mitzvah service. I am so happy that all of you could be here tonight and share this special occasion with me and my family. My Torah portion is called Lech Lecha. It is the story of Abraham's journey to Israel. Abraham was 75 years old when he, along with his wife Sarai and his brother's son Lot, left Canaan. Abraham and Sarai traveled to Egypt because of a famine in Canaan. When they arrived in Egypt, Abraham told Sarai to pretend to be his sister. He thought that they would get treated better if the Pharaoh thought that they were siblings, and he also thought that if the Pharaoh knew that they were married, he would kill Abraham because Sarai was very beautiful, like you, Mom. The Pharaoh met Abraham and Sarai and treated Abraham very well. The Pharaoh gave Abraham animals and seed to help him start a new life. Sometime later, unfortunately, the Pharaoh learned that Abraham was married to Sarai and sent them out of Egypt. Once Abraham was back in Canaan, his workers and Lot's workers argued a lot, and Abraham thought it would be best if they separated. So Abraham decided that if Lot went north, Abraham would go south, and if Lot went south, Abraham would go north. At that time, God told Abraham that any land that he saw with his eyes would be his. To recap, Abraham hid from the Pharaoh that he was married to Sarai. Instead, he told the Pharaoh they were siblings, out of fear in order to preserve his life. The Pharaoh gave Abraham animals and seed for crops so he could start a new life. When the Pharaoh learned that Abraham and Sarai were married, he banished them from Egypt. This shows that hiding facts in your life can have a negative effect on you. Abraham was forced to leave the life he had built in Egypt because he lied to the Pharaoh, even though he would not have been able to have established such a life had he been honest. This situation can be related to our lives today because lying to someone and them finding out most certainly will have a bad outcome for you. Also, if you hide your identity from someone who has grown to like you for the person you pretend to be, it will certainly have major repercussions. It is also best to be yourself and be proud of who you are and where you come from. So don't ever lie to someone unless you have a good reason for it or it helps them in some way. An example in my life when I lie is when my mother constantly asks me if I did all my homework and finished studying for my test. I'll say anything she wants to hear in order to get her to stop interrogating me. In all seriousness, she should work for the FBI because her nagging will obtain a lot of confessions just to get her to stop questioning. When I tell my mom these white lies to appease her, which is obviously not the right thing to do, I am potentially setting myself up for failure. Moving along. For my Mitzvah project, my mom and I are volunteering at the Ronald McDonald House in New Hyde Park. Sorry, Dad, you're not invited. Too much risk bringing you to anything with the name McDonald's in it. We will be taking part in the Treats for the Heart baking program. The goal of the Treats from the Heart is to help the families staying at the Ronald McDonald House make a difficult time a little better. The families staying there sadly have a sick child in the hospital, and the volunteers, like me and my mom, bake fresh goods. So when the parents of a sick child return home after a long and sometimes rough day, they can smell the fresh treats and eat them. The goal is to provide comfort and help make a very difficult time a little easier. Becoming a bar mitzvah means becoming an adult. With that comes the responsibility of acting more maturely, properly behaving, and being involved in the Jewish community. It is important to act this way to show that you're polite, respectful, and caring to others so they appreciate you as a person and want to be around you. It is important more so than ever to be involved in the Jewish community to help keep the religion, traditions, and foundations alive. I am Jewish and I am proud. I thank my tutor, Janet Judea, Rabbi Rosenthal, and Cantor Barnett, as well as Temple Beth Sholom Hebrew School for helping me get here today. I also thank my family for their unconditional love and support. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koach to Ethan for his reflections on the Torah reading. Once again, if you want to follow along with our Parsha, as Ethan chants, it is on page 69 in the Red Book. And for the first Aliyah, we welcome Ethan's grandparents, Sherry and Bernard Vishnick, and Ed Danter.
ותגלה ותראה מחותו עלינו לזכרו וחמלתנו ופדמו ותישא אליכן ולחץ ולרחמים רצו ונאמר אמן. הכל אבו גודל אלוהינו תוכבוד לתורה יעמדו דוב בן ראובן אליעזר ומירל שינה בת שמואל ואלקה ושמואל משה בן אהרון ושינה ראשון ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום.
Baruch Adonai Habarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Vayomer Adonai el Avram, lech lecha, me'artzecha u'milatecha, u'mibeit avicha, el haaretz asher arecha. Ve'esecha lagoy gadol, va'avarechecha, v'hegidla shemecha, v'heye beracha. Va'avarechecha, me'va'arechecha, u'michlalecha aor, v'niverchu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, l'chayei olam natan v'tzolkenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Yasher Koach. We call up Jessica and Matthew for the second Aliyah.
יעמדו שמואל אבל בן דוב ושינה ושני ינתה בת שמואל משה ונחלה שני
Baruch Adonai Hamarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher baruch banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Vayelech Avram, kasher diber elav Adonai, vayelech ito lod ve'Avram, ben chamei shanim ve'shivim shana ve'tzeto mecharan. Vayikach Avram et Sarai ishto ve'et lod ben achi ve'kol rechusham asher rahashu ve'et hanefesh asher arsu ve'charan ve'yetzu lalechet arza Canaan vayavo arza Canaan vayavo Avram ba'aretz ad mekom shechem ad elon moreh ve'hakanaani az ba'aretz vayhi Adonai vayera Adonai el Avram vayomer Lazar achav etain et haaretz hazot vayiven sham mizbeach l'Adonai hanirei elav vayitek misham hahara mikedem leveit el veit ocholo veit el miyam vehaya mikedem vayiven sham mizbeach l'Adonai vayikra v'shem Adonai vayisa Avram halof en asoach hanigba.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tzokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
With great joy and pride, we now call Ethan to recite the blessings for his bar mitzvah aliyah.
Yamod Yamod Habachor bara mitzvah Eliyahu Moshe ben Shmuel Ebel B'Sheina Shelishi
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charbani mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Toratot. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah. V'hi ra'av ba'aretz v'yered Avram Yitzrayma lagor sham ki kaved ha'ra'av ba'aretz. V'hi kasher higri lavot Mitzrayma v'yomer el Sarai ishto hinena yadati ki isha yafar merei ad v'haya ki yer'u otach hamitzrim v'yamru ishto zot v'hargu oti v'chai tach yichayu imrina achoti at lema'an yivtav li v'avorech v'chatach nafshi bilalech. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam neto betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov Yehelanu 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 Lechol Yisrael Yehelanu Yehelanu Lechol Yisrael Yehelanu Yehelanu Lechol Yisrael Yehelanu Yehelanu Lechol Yisrael.
We rise now for the lifting and wrapping of the Sefer Torah. Justin is going to lift. Justin, I hope you have a very strong left arm because most of the scroll is on the left side, and Eileen Holzer is going to be wrapping the Torah, so please come forward at this time.
Okay, ready? I'll help you. Yep, right there. I'm going to swoop it up. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. Take the Torah and go sit down in the chair over there.
So come this way. We'll remain standing for just a moment until the Torah is placed. Okay, I fudged a little. The Torah is placed, but we're going to remain standing for just a moment because the cantor and I have some special words of blessing for Ethan, and we invite Justin and Jessica and Matthew to come join us along with Ethan on the Bema steps, and the congregation to please remain standing as we open the ark. What? Right?
Especially Ethan.
Our God and God of our ancestors, on this Shabbat day, we ask for your abundant blessings for Ethan, the son of Jessica and Matthew, who has come with joy and with pride today to our Bima and our sacred congregation to chant from the Torah and to recite your blessings as he proudly takes his place in the line of the 4,000-year-old tradition of the Jewish people, and as he proudly takes his place among his family and his community for the first time as a Jewish adult. God, please continue to be with him as he grows. Continue to help him be mindful of the love of his family and his community. Help him continue to be a proud member of the Jewish people and supporter of Israel. And please help bless all of the endeavors and the work of his hands so that he can always feel the pride and confidence and joy that he feels as he stands before you on this day. The cantor and I now wish to invoke words of blessing from our Torah that are in all of our hearts at this time.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך, כן יהי רצון, כן יהי רצון, כן יהי רצון.
May God bless you and protect you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה, כן יהי רצון, כן יהי רצון, כן יהי רצון.
May God cause his light to shine upon you and be kind to you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך, וישם לך, וישם לך, וישם לך שלום, כן יהי רצון, כן יהי רצון, כן יהי רצון.
May God always turn to you in kindness and always grant you the gift of peace. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
As the ark is closed, the congregation actually will remain standing
Right,
because we're
standing.
about to put back the Torahs.
Okay, you guys can go down. You stay with me. יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו, הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לימו, תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו, הללויה, הללויה, דוד מזמור.
We call upon Faith and Jason Vishnick to please open the ark as we prepare to replace the Torah scroll. Okay, when you face the ark, it's going to be the cord on your right.
את חיים היא למחזיקים בה ותומכיה מיושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו כקדם.
There is a brief opportunity to be seated, if you'd like. Don't say I didn't warn you that it was brief. Page 233.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותה, וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב, אמרו אמן, יש מרבה מבורך, ויעלם עולם ביומיה יתברך. יברך וישתבח וירפר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מנקו ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירנה בעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
We rise now for the Amidah, for the Mincha afternoon service, beginning on page 234b. We'll begin together with the cantor and chant with him through the Kedusha. We'll then have time to complete the Amidah silently on our own, page 234b.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו בני אבותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחב אלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך חוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיים את אימתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיים מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בגבורות עמידו מלך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע ונאמנתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמרעישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך וקרא זה לזה ויאמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו לעומתם ברוך יאמרו ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך. ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש ושיבחך אלוהינו. מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך. כי אל מלך גדול, גדול וקדוש אתה, כי אל מלך גדול, גדול וקדוש אתה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue silently, page 236.
עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
You may be seated, page 247.
יגדל ויקדש שם רבה, וילמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון ומכון וחייך בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שם רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מעולמיה יתברך. יברך וישתבח וירפר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל לשם ידי קודשה בריחו לילה מנקו ברכתה ושיר השבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תקבל צורתו ובאותו לכל ישראל קדם ובכן ושמיה ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen.
We invite Elise Vishnick and Mitchell Karasik to open the Ark for Aleinu. We rise. Aleinu is on page 248.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Pull the cord on the left. You may be seated. We invite those who are mourning and those who are observing Yartzeit to rise for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 249. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv ve'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma ve'imru, amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, amen. You may be seated. I did something difficult today. I actually think you probably did it too. Today, I adulted. And I'm proud of myself. What does it mean to adult? This is a word that has gained traction over the last year or two, and it's entered into the popular lexicon. I think it actually was officially added to many English dictionaries. To adult is to be self-sufficient, to do typically grown-up tasks without your parents or anyone else directing you. Now, as some of you may know, it used to be that adulting wasn't really a thing that had a name of its own. It was just called life and doing what you had to do. But now, adulting has taken on great significance. There's a definition of adulting that says the practice of behaving in a way characteristic of a responsible adult, especially the accomplishment of mundane but necessary tasks. Now, if you're not sure how to adult, you can go on Amazon and buy a book called Adulting, How to Become a Grown-Up in 468 Easy-ish Steps. The book is 420 pages long. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not sure if reading a 420-page book on adulting qualifies as adulting, or if it's actually kind of the opposite of adulting. Right? Maybe real adulting is not reading a how-to book, it's just doing the stuff that you're supposed to do. And if you know how to adult, but you feel like you need to be personally commended for adulting, there are, believe it or not, adulting reward stickers that you can buy online. They say things like, I did the laundry and I backed up my computer. So if you go and purchase these stickers, you can pin them on yourself when you've successfully done an adulting task. So the section from the Torah that Ethan read before, as we mentioned, is Parshat Lech Lecha, and it talks about the very first stage in the development of our people, the Jewish people, which began when God called to Avram, Abram, later to be called Abraham, and told him that he was supposed to go to a new place, which we now know as Israel, and that he was going to be the father of an entire new nation. And the text tells us that God says to Avram, Lech lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'mibeit avicha el ha'aretz asher areka, which means, go forth from your land, from your birthplace, and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. It has to have been a big turning point in Abraham's life, right? To get this directive from God to leave his home and to go to an entire new place. But I think the way that God says this is very interesting. God could have just said, go forth out of your land to a new place, right? And Avram probably would have understood that he had to go from one town to another. But God says it in a very specific way. God tells Abraham, go out of your land, out of your birthplace, umi beit avicha, and out of your father's house. So it's not just that Avram needs to leave his hometown. There's a specific need for him to leave his parents' house in which he grew up in order to undertake his own spiritual journey. I would argue that if we put the Torah in 2022 terms, what Avram was being asked to do is actually a kind of spiritual adulting. There's a difficult task that he needs to do, and he has to do it on his own, for better or for worse. Now, for him, the stakes are pretty high, right? The task that he has to do is not putting weed killer on his lawn. It's figuring out what he believes about the divine power that animates the universe and how he can start to live in a way that acknowledges and honors that power. That's a tough job that there is no sticker for. And in order to do this, even though he may love and honor his parents, Avram needs to break free from what his father and his grandfather believed and go forth and figure out what he believes with God's help. He needs to have a whole spiritual reckoning, and he has to do it on his own. Such is the case for us, 4,000 years later. We have to do the hard work of spiritual and religious adulting. My rabbi, from when I was growing up, used to say, every Jew is a Jew by choice. In a world in which endless options are open to us in terms of our belief systems and our organizational affiliations, each of us has to figure out how to be a Jew. Each of us has to figure out what Judaism means to us and how we are going to honor and observe Judaism in our own homes and in our own lives. We may choose to observe Judaism as our parents and our grandparents did, or we may choose to depart from the ways in which they lived their Judaism. But that's a process that each of us needs to undertake on our own in a way that's true to our own beliefs and priorities. That's the journey that Ethan is embarking upon, starting today. Even though he's not yet ready to leave his parents' home and strike out on his own, he is beginning the process of figuring out what Judaism means to him and how he can find a meaningful place for Judaism in his own life. And that's the process of self-identification that happens to us not just when we come up for our bar or bat mitzvah, but throughout our whole lives. When we get married, when we choose what kind of Jewish education to give our kids, if we send them to Hebrew school. Jewish adulting is a process of learning that can and should be lifelong. So, to the adults in the room, the next time you're feeling a little put upon because you need to adult, think of our ancestor Avram. If he could invent monotheism, you can put up with balancing your checkbook. And if he could take it upon himself to engage deeply and truly with God and with questions of faith, we can too. Shabbat Shalom. Ethan, if you will join me over here. come and stand over here. This is the bar mitzvah charge, which is the part where I tell you how great you are, which for you is very easy to do. Seeing you stand up here today and read from the Torah and chant the blessings and sing the prayers is a wonderful experience, and I'm sure that your family and your friends are kvelling, as we say, are having so much pride in you right now. It was really a pleasure for me, not just to see you up here today, but to get to know you through your time in Hebrew school, and most significantly for me, over the past few months, as I have provided guidance as you've worked on your Devar Torah, which you didn't need a ton of guidance for because you really had wonderful ideas and knew what you wanted to say about your Torah portion. And I love what you said about Abraham not really understanding, even with all of his spiritual wisdom, that he had to really be true to himself and represent himself honestly. And I'm really glad that you drew that message out of the text and taught it to everyone here, because that's something that we all need to hear and be reminded of. And it's something that I think you can continue to teach about and set an example for as you continue to live with honesty and with authenticity and show the world who you really are. And who you really are is an amazing young man and human being. Ever since I started working with you on your Devar Torah, I would always look forward to our conversations, because not only would you engage with the Torah content with such heart and such enthusiasm, but your whole demeanor just makes you so wonderful to be around. You have such a beautiful smile and such a kind smile that always makes me feel happy to be in your presence. And I'm sure it does the same for your family and your friends. So after today, of course, you're going to breathe a big sigh of relief, but that's just one stage in the journey, and your journey as a Jewish adult continues. So I hope that you will bring that same kindness and wisdom and joy that you brought to preparing for your bar mitzvah and having your bar mitzvah today. I hope that you will carry that with you throughout your whole life, and I hope that you'll continue to teach all of us and everyone you meet the important lesson about what it means to be honest and authentic and to be your true self. So once again, Mazel Tov. Okay, you can be seated for now. We're going to continue now. What we did before was the afternoon service to sort of get into the evening time, and now we are going to have the brief evening service followed by Havdalah, which is going to bring us from Shabbat into the new day of Saturday night and Sunday. So we're going to continue back in our blue Siddur. We are going to rise for the Mariv service on page 281.
בורכו מכפר עמם ולא ישיב בראשי בפה ולא יקל חמתו ארוני השיעם לחיינינו ביום קוראינו ברכו את ארוני המבורך ברוך ארוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. We continue silently.
אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה ארוני המעריב הרבים. ויעבדך תשם ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה ארוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל ארוני אלוהינו ארוני אחד. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, אמת ואמונה כל זאת קיים עלינו. ומלכותו ורצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל הכנו שירה ושמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף למלכותך רוב בניך בוקם לפני משה זה לינו ואמרו אדוני לך לעולם ואהב נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב הוגיה לו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
Page 284.
השכיבנו ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ושלום יתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני שומר עמו ישראל ברוך אתה ברוך אדוני הירו עינינו זך לבנו אדוני מלך אדוני מלך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד כי המלכות שלך היא עולמית תמלא בכבוד כי לנו מלך אלא אתה ברוך אתה אדוני המלך בכבודו תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ועל כל מעשיו יגדל ויקדש מרבה בעלמא יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכונו ממכונו וחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמרה ומבורך ליען עולם מעולמיה יתברך יברך וישתבח וירפא ויתאמר ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה וברכתה ונחמתה דמירן ביעלמה ואמרו אמן.
We rise now for the Mari Vamidah, beginning on page 286. We recite it silently. Please use this time to recite the words in the prayer book or engage in your own personal meditation and reflection.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
You may be seated, page 292.
יגדל ויקדש מרבה בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי וחי יכון ומכון וחי לכבד ישראל בגליו זמכרים אמרו אמן. יהי שמרה במבורך ליעלה מורל מעולמיה יתברך יברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל לשם קודשה בריחו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושיר הדש ברכתה ונחמתה דמירה בעלמא ואמרו אמן. ויהי נועם אדוני אלוהינו עלינו מעשה ידינו כוננה עלינו ומעשה ידינו כוננהו. אורך ימים משביעהו וירא בשועתי אורך ימים משביעהו וירא בשועתי ואתה קדוש יושב תהילות ישראל. פתחו בחיידי שמך כי לא עזד אנשיך אדוני. אדוני חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר. יגדל ויקדש שמרבה ועלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון ומכון וחי לכבד ישראל בגליו בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמרה במבורך ליעלם עולם מעולמיה יתברך יברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל לשם קודשה בריחו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושיר הדש ברכתה ונחמתה דמיינה בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יקבל צלותנו ואותנו כל ישראל קדם אמרו ושמעיה ואמרו אמן. יש להם רב משמעיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen.
Ethan will now lead us in Aleinu, which is found on page 297. We invite Paula and Steve Karasik to open the ark, and we invite the congregation to please rise. Pull the cord on the right.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרסו, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדנה. אנו מעשנו כמהם, וגור עלינו כלום אדונה. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך ומלכים עומדים, מהקדוש ברוך הוא. V'ne'emar Yahaya Adonai L'melech Haaretz Bayom ha'u Yeh Adonai Echad U'shemod Echad.
You may be seated. This evening, as we begin the 5th of Cheshvan, the Temple Beth Sholom community remembers with fond affection Monroe Pester, Milton Bruck, Honora Rubel Shapiro, Ferdy Falk, Ruth Sobin, William Eisenberg, Lillian Katz, Daniel Gantovnik, Marvin Kopelman, Edward Mendelow, and Edward Siegel. We invite those who are mourning and those who are observing a yahrzeit to rise and join together for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 298. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari ve'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma ve'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, amen. We now invite TBS board member Farrah Forrest to do a presentation to Ethan.
Thank you. You did an amazing job. I'm sure your family and your friends are very proud of you. Especially Mazel Tov to Matt and Jessica and Justin as well. Mazel Tov to your grandparents, Sherry, Bernie, and your grandfather, Edward. Mazel Tov to everyone. It's extra special for me to be up here with you today since I've known your family since I was younger than you are now. So on behalf of the synagogue, I'd like to present you with this gift. In it includes a Kiddush cup and candlesticks, as well as a one-year JCC teen membership from Temple Beth Sholom. There's also a book, The Observant Life, from the Sisterhood and Men's Club, a tzedakah box from the PTA, and a chocolate candy bar from the MBS Scholarship Fund. I'm sure you'll get a lot of use out of this, hopefully. Also, thank you to Jessica and Matt for providing the beautiful flowers that are up here, and Mazel Tov again to your whole family.
Thank you, Farrah. Of course, I'd like to echo Farrah's words of Mazel Tov, of congratulations to Ethan, to Jessica and Matthew, to Justin, and to the entire Danter and Vishnick families. We're so glad that we were able to celebrate this simcha, this happy occasion with you. We're going to conclude with Havdalah. Ethan and Cantor Barnoy will lead us. Please rise if you want to follow along. We're on page 299 in the prayer book. So later? Okay. All right, I'll go get it.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Atishmi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi, Bimera beyamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Adishmi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi, Bimera Tavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David. Lai lai la 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 lai lai, lai lai la 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 lai lai, lai lai la 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 lai lai, lai lai la la lai. Lai lai la 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 lai lai, lai lai la 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 lai lai, lai lai la 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 lai lai, lai lai la la lai, la la lai la la lai 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 la la lai lai lai, lai la la lai 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 la la lai, lai 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 la la lai. La da 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 dum. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. We'll take another couple minutes. Relax. We're waiting for a lighter so we can light the candle. La da 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 da. La da da Guess not. Not these days. All right. Like the Olympics. Got a torch from the caterer. All right.
Start. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'agafen borei peri ha'agafen.
Lai lai la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 dum.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim.
Lai lai la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 dum.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei murei ha'aish borei murei ha'aish.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ben or lechoshech ben Yisrael amim ben yom ha'shevi l'sheshet yemei hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. Lai lai la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 lam. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. Mazel tov. And thus ends the service. We hope you enjoy your party. Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. Yehelanu, 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 kol lechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, kol lechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, kol lechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, kol lechol Yisrael.
You were great too.
No.
Here. Take this.
Thank you guys again for everything. Thank you, Ken.
You always told me, practice. That's good.
Right, if David was here, he could jump into the ark because, he enjoys that.